Hello everyone.
Hello everyone.
Welcome to episode 15 of Talk to the Chip. And today we're going to be talking about a wonderful female composer, Maryanne Amacher.
Maryanne Amacher.
It's spelled amateur.
Okay.
But she's an American. She was an American. And I think the background is, I think she may be Belgian family background. So it's a French pronunciation, Amacher.
It's we're really fortunate that we have got a linguist with us. Specialized in European languages.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, for me, I just want to call her Maryanne.
Yes, let's just call her Maryanne. That makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, okay. So today we are going to talk about one particular work from this composer. Okay, the work is not necessarily dating back to 70s, 60s and 50s, just like the most of what we have covered so far. This is an album from 1999 and it is Making the Third Year.
Yes, that's the title, is Making the Third Year. But it is a compilation of stuff.
Sound characters.
Yeah. But it's a compilation of pieces ranging over quite a long period, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why we decided to select that. So the release was much later, which is something that happened with which was the case with some of the composers we covered, because some of the works, they belong to ages ago, but then got to be released or shared with the public in an accessible format much later. So we have a wide range of works here.
Yes. Her importance kind of goes back to the mid-60s. Because she worked with Cage and she studied with Stockhausen.
Yeah, she was a student.
Yeah, but allegedly Stockhausen thought she was so weird that he called her an alien.
Yeah.
Which that says quite a lot coming from Karl-Heinz.
Yes, as if he was not an alien himself.
Exactly. Yes.
Calling her an alien. Yeah, I mean, then you can imagine all sorts of weird things, which we can hear in the music anyway.
Absolutely.
Can't
well,
we?
I mean, I get the feeling that she's very Cagean anyway. That it's a very her stuff comes from a very philosophical background rather than like really a musical background,
Yeah, and that's part of the music and her style, because it was. Most of the works she created, they were site-specific, which makes them not listenable here in our stereo formats or certain audio formats. You really had to be there.
Yeah. Well, I think a really important thing about her philosophically is in the late 60s or mid-60s, she had this really pioneering, advanced idea at the time of telematic music.
Telematic music. Please, can you tell us about telematic music?
Well, it seems to be, what she called it was, not unlike Stockhausen's piece Telemusic. It's about long distance music.
Long distance.
And that's the term that she used. And the idea is that it's site-specific music, but from dislocated positions.
Yeah.
So she had a whole series of compositions called the City Links series, where performers and playback would be in very, very distant places.
Yeah.
Which then, of course, was quite a bizarre advanced concept. And today is something we do every day with the internet.
Actually, yeah.
So in that sense, she was enormously forward-looking,
Yeah, very much like an inventor of breakthrough ideas.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe being an American kind of gets her some credit, but other than that, I think I don't remember seeing her name in any of the electronic music history books.
Yeah.
That I read. Sorry if I didn't read all of them. But you know, here is someone that pioneered sound art. Not I think it goes beyond merely calling it electronic music. Today we come up with all sorts of sound installations, interdisciplinary works, being commissioned by private or government organizations, and selecting people with nepotism and all that stuff.
We won't go into that though, will we?
No, we will not. But my point is, here is someone who pioneered installation art. And sound art.
Well, that's the thing, you know, with this collection that they put together on making the third ear, is there's a real emphasis on two particular areas of our work. One is this installation thing of using music or using sound in an architectural sense, of really making buildings and making objects and making sound resonate to work, so people can really enter the sound.
They should have met each other, Xenakis and her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's that. There's a See, the thing is, people talk a lot about spatialization of sound, and you know, of course, there's this massive. You know, it's backed by Apple, but this massive push for Dolby Atmos. So everybody's thinking in surround sound at the moment, and you know, it's nice to have little bits, things, objects moving around in space, but to actually think about the spatialization of sound where where the audience are actually becoming part of a space, or actually creating structures using sound, which is what she was doing, is very, very advanced thinking. Very, very different to just having a wider stereo, really, or selling people more speakers.
I think it is basically, basically she had a combination of, as you said, philosophical approach, but there's a psychological, psychoacoustics approach in it. And in a way, the third ear is a reference to that kind of a thing. That like she was talking about a tiny loudspeaker being inside our head, inside the ear. That's the.
Well, that's the thing, is that there's this collection has like sort of two different styles. One is this very architectural, very, very physical stuff, which creates these kind of drones or deeply resonant things, which are really beautiful.
Drones are beautiful, but then we have the sound in the intro.
And then we have these things with little pieces that she did, which are supposed to create auto-acoustic emissions.
Auto-acoustic emissions.
And what that is basically pure tones in stereo that create combination difference tones. So what that means is, you know, when you play two notes very close to each other in pitch, you hear that beating between them. And that's the combination and difference tones, the sum and difference between the two frequencies. And this is taken to a point that if you listen to it loud enough, which fortunately I have done, your cochlea inside your ear, the actual organ inside your ear, starts to generate its own frequencies, starts to generate its own sound.
So that is the inner ear, the third ear experience.
That she's referring to.
So you did experience it in your studio setup.
Yes, not only me, but also my poor students who hopefully will be listening, and you know, I give them my my deepest apologies. But basically, if you listen to this music, these interference tones loud enough, you start to feel a third frequency appearing inside your head.
Just like this kind of harmonics. Extra harmonics created. Is that what you mean?
It's not harmonics because it's usually lower in pitch. So
LFO.
Yeah, it's more like you feel almost like a grinding between the two frequencies, and it's very strange that if you turn your back to the speakers, you're still hearing it.
Yeah.
When you move around, the volume of it changes. It's only quite a recent discovery about how this works, going back to the 70s. But it's now used as because it's a sign of healthy hearing. It's a sign that your hearing is healthy, and so that now they're using it for testing with kids because with a tiny sensitive microphone, you can detect the cochlea resonating and producing these frequencies itself.
Wow!
But it's quite a strange feeling. You have to turn it up pretty loud.
Yeah, and also. I did not listen to it in that kind of setting, but I could definitely tell in my own experience that there is a bodily somatic experience with rapid oscillation of frequencies. Of course, the intro is very much on your face in that sense because of the higher frequencies. Yeah. But when it comes to the drones, the more immersive sounds, those works in the album, that is definitely, I think I can imagine what you're talking about. That's definitely the...
With the long droning pieces, I mean, that's a sort of, she's after a different physicality there. That's the physicality of vibration in space and vibration in your environment.
Very much architectural in a way.
Massively.
Definitely not like the sound therapy people we are talking about here. We're talking more about like research-based artists here in a way. Yeah. And it's more like using the space, not only the bodily experience, but also the space. And when we say research based, she did not get a commission or something to research this. She did her very own home research practice.
Apparently she was really obsessive about space and speaker positions, that she would move speakers by minutely and get up and move things out, and had this habit of listening to one tone for hours on end.
Amazing. I mean, I can't imagine being in that environment. I read about a performance she did in Scotland, and there is no documentation or recording of it. She requested no recordings because the recording will not represent it. Yeah. So not many of those things exist, sadly, because they were very much site specific. Not only that, there was a lot of action to, regarding the position of the speakers.
So it's ridiculous in a way to reduce it down to stereo and put it on your earbuds and walk down the street somewhere.
That destroys like the 70% or some part, a major part of the work. Experience.
Well, especially, I mean, you really get that, I think, really clearly in the second track in this collection, Tower, because it focuses so much on the low frequencies. So you can imagine how we know it, from our modern lives about how low frequency sound makes buildings resonate. Yeah. Cars resonate. I mean, you can probably hear, I'm living on a main road here, and you can probably hear, when a car goes past with a big sound system in there, you feel the vibration coming down the street, Yes. And it's very much about using low frequency in buildings like that. It's very much about presence.
Presence. That's why maybe there is this extremity in the amplitude of the sounds.
It's like we're here, it is
big
here.
Bodies of sounds. There's an extreme feeling in the music. The music in a stereo setting, even in stereo setting, feels like it is in the edges. on the edges. But so in the this is very much like when you say installation based. That's what we are also talking about. I think.
Yeah.
It was very much about like the performance of the presentation of the work in the live real-time setting.
Yeah. Rather than just listening on the internet.
Yeah,
which we did, and which and which expecting and which we're expecting our listeners to do. But of course, it's
make sure it's in the extreme volume.
Yes, well, that's the thing. I mean,
I'm serious when I say it. Actually,
yeah. I mean, the auto acoustic stuff really only really starts to kick in when you pump it up a little bit. So
acoustic emissions,
Yes, but make sure your neighbours are warned in advance.
Yeah, it is this kind of distortion effect.
Yeah.
Which as a guitarist I am fascinated by. Yeah. As a guitarist who makes a lot of noise with her software design tools and pedals in my very own small way of being an artist as opposed to what's been done so far, by the pioneers. For me, it's thrilling. It's a thrilling experience, that kind of extreme distortion. And then I think of noise music concerts. Imagine, this also, seeing this, seeing some work, well, actually a lot of works, but like her auto-acoustic emissions in a live setting, then you will hear extreme distortion, which may potentially hurt the ear, but then it feels like it would turn into
a very personal experience.
Yeah. Just then I was in a gig recently seeing Sun. Very much like that was also like installation music, because basically they have tens of amps on stage. Mm-hmm. It was a very good idea to not sit close to the stage. I made sure my seat was on the balcony in the Barbican, so I'm far away from it, which made the experience a lot better. But so you see, it's always amps and loudness and very low tuned drony guitars, not much chordal change happening. So actually, Maryanne might have did what Sun is doing now. Because we're talking about speakers. So here's a band that I saw recently with a massive group of amps, guitar amps, and she had a big lots of speakers at extreme volumes, and probably it is a very, very fun experience, but also how to say.
It's an extreme experience.
Experience. There you go.
And also, and it affects different people in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's using sound, the physical properties of sound.
Yes.
To shift air and to get to create resonances in buildings, and to create resonances actually within people's bodies. The interesting thing with the auto-acoustic stuff, about generating sum and difference tones and combination tones, that's a form of distortion as well.
Yeah.
The classic device for doing this, which you hear, which we talked about also interestingly with the Stockhausen piece with Telemusic, with the ring modulator. The ring modulator produces sum and difference tones. Also, there's another reference with her music, especially the long drony pieces. I thought there's a lot of similarity with Todd Dockstader.
Yes.
Especially with the technology.
Radio.
Well, the radio waves, and also the Eventide harmonizer. I hear it on all of her stuff.
Oh yeah, maybe that's the.
Yeah, they're very intense. There's on particularly on Synaptic Island, the track 4 on this.
Yes.
From about 41 minutes into the whole thing. it's virtually like a harmonizer solo.
It feels like one of the pieces, like many of the pieces, but Surfer and Feeder, these pieces in Todd's album.
Yeah.
I think I get your point. Very also.
Well, there was one of the things with a harmonizer.
This one is very vibrant. I think.
Is that you can take a single tone.
Yeah.
And you use the harmonizer to produce a chord from it.
Yeah.
So a lot of the kind of harmonic stuff and the chordal stuff that's going on in our work isn't generated from someone sitting down and writing notes.
No.
It's generated electronically. From learning to use the equipment,
Yeah.
Which I think is, and it also means that she produces these big masses of sound, like lots and lots of pitches all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fascinating stuff, isn't it?
It is. And very vibrant in that sense.
Yeah.
Very much alive. Okay, there is also a ghostly feel, but it is like a spectre. Then the ghost is not like a traditional old archaic ghost, more like a ghost from the future.
Yeah.
Very futuristic or
present
alien-like ghost.
Yeah.
So Stockhausen called her an alien. But yeah, that's the music. I think, and that I think the part of it is because there are dark harmonies, but they are not brought by tonal music.
Yeah.
It's generated electronically.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. You talked about like ghosts, and the idea of like different periods connecting different times. Because the last track in this collection is called "Entering Ancient Rooms."
Yes, maybe that is the ghost connection there.
Yeah, the idea that there's different space, not just different physical spaces, but different spaces in time as well.
Yeah. Also, for her, I don't know if that was the case with this particular piece, but it was very much about composing the music on the spot. Yeah. By entering those rooms in a way, you are creating it by being in there.
Yeah. Well, also the idea that the space is creating the sound as well.
Yeah.
There's a feedback between the space and the position of the speakers and the what you hear is the sound itself. So I mean, in a way, what we have as recordings are more documentations rather than the artifact themselves.
Yeah.
The artifact themselves was the event in the specific spaces.
Even if it was filmed, in some cases there are videos. We will never be able to experience it unless someone who has rights to her works or plans, drawings.
If you can recreate things.
But without her, we can't know. I mean, but it would be really fun if some organization in the USA recreates this by supporting her work and whoever has the right to it. And then
it's interesting because there are a lot of people
bringing it to different places.
But but she does have a lot of respect in some kind of weird corners of particularly American music. I mean, one of the executive producers on this album is John Zorn. Do you know John Zorn? He's a very important free jazz saxophonist and recording artist himself, and wonderful stuff. You know, and then there's all the kind of that. Of course, being based in New York, being based on the East Coast of the States, of course, she had all these wonderful connections.
Yeah, including John Cage.
Yeah, there you go.
But also free jazz people.
Yeah.
And she also was very much aware of what was going on in Germany. Yeah. Like reinterpreting works of Webern and in a way. I don't think it is in this album, but the music rooms, that is it. So it's a lot of influences, interaction, but also bringing her own very futuristic, forward-looking
philosophy.
methods. Philosophy, exactly.
There's one other technical thing that I really liked that I found quite touching, because I mean, there's something about the weird sort of, well, not weird, but this kind of dichotomy, the contrast between very futuristic and forward-looking content. But then, if you know the technology, you can hear technology from the 60s and 70s. And on track 6 on Chorale, there's massive use of the Mutron biphase. Yeah. This beautiful phaser that you hear, particularly you hear on Wendy Carlos's stuff on the Clockwork Orange. And you hear on lots and lots of reggae records. I mean, the same machine. I mean, Lee Scratch Perry played it like an instrument in its own right, you know. So it has this weird mix of the future and a fixed point in the past as well, quite a nostalgic quality, along with being extremely modern, which is quite strange. It reminded me again Stockhausen's Karlheinz is coming up a lot today, but you know, like in Licht, you know, his opera with these very futuristic sound worlds and very complicated electronic parts. There's parts written for Hammond organ.
Hammond organ,
So you hear like a little old, like almost like a little church organ going off in the corner sometimes. So it has this kind of strange mix of modernity and nostalgia going off all the time.
There's that kind of feeling too. Yeah. I think I can think of contemporary examples like Ryoji Ikeda, who are creating music very much for the space, but also by exploring the dynamic and frequency extremes. And that is that would be something worth seeing. And in a way, Maryanne pioneered that kind of an approach and creating. I just wanted to make a contemporary reference.
Well, another contemporary reference from another angle is this kind of quite a strange guy, a musicologist, celebrity musicology YouTuber, Adam Neely.
Okay, yeah.
You know, and he does do some I have to say, he does do some very, very interesting shows. It's very, very well researched stuff, but it is really sensationalist what he does, and sometimes quite funny. But he did one of his YouTube shows specifically about Amacher and about the autoacoustic thing.
Okay.
And he was playing her autoacoustic work, you know, the sum and difference pieces, to other YouTubers, like hip, trendy, youth style YouTubers, and of course they couldn't handle it. And it's like, oh man, you know, my head is vibrating, man.
Oh,
you know.
Is that one of the reaction videos?
Almost, yes. It's almost a series of reaction videos, and it's really worth seeing how, you know, how someone whose music, you know, was developed in the 1950s and whose thinking process was 50, 60 years ago, is still so shocking.
Yes, I will actually test that with my students very soon.
Good.
I have a session for this.
Yeah.
I will share the results.
Yes, well, my students, one of my students rather appreciated it.
There we go.
But the other one of my students looked like he was about to vomit.
Okay, so one of them will become a sound artist, the other will become a popular music producer, I guess. Vomit. Okay, maybe it's time to repeat your safeguarding training.
yes, of course.
Oh, well, that's very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.